Hello and welcome to the Be Formless Flow Driven CEO podcast. What a backdrop! Introducing Michael Ronen all the way from Topanga, which is Topanga Canyon, and it's right next to Malibu. Is that what, did I get that right, Michael?
Yes, that's correct.
What a beautiful backdrop, Michael. Honestly, I'm getting all
I
these
should just
amazing.
leave you with the backdrop. Maybe I'm not really necessary in this conversation. It's just like when I'm out of things to say, I'll just do that. Like just,
Yeah, totally. I love
yeah.
that. I love that. And previous you're from Israel, so you've been in living in
I've been
Topanga.
around. Yeah, I've been here for 5 years. I grew up in Israel. I moved to England and then to Berlin, Germany. I lived 15 years in Europe and then moved here.
Wow. Yeah. So you've got probably got a mix of accents, right? Like you've got kind of
I do. Yeah,
all the different
yeah. And
combinations.
I might end up with Australian accent in the end of the conversation. I'm like, just like, you know, I'm in the flow.
Yeah, you're in the flow, that's for sure. But we're gonna have a playful chat, I'm gonna say today.
Right.
In terms of you're the founder, well, you're the founder of one company and a co-founder of another company. So let's start with founder of the first company, which is Wonderland Immersive Design, which is, by the sounds of things, a boutique innovation studio and venture partner that blends AI, XR, and immersive design with human-centered storytelling. And you created the play economy framework, which I'm super curious and intrigued about, which is, from what I understand, a rapid prototyping and empathy-driven method used by companies to co-create immersive experiences and product innovation. You then also co-founded more recently Formhouse, for the creators economy. And you were also formerly a theatre director, and you bring over 25 plus years of arts and techs experiences to build the prototyping in 30 days and teaching organizations how to play unlock insight and flow. So play feels like it's centered around everything you do, even the background, the backdrop you've got. It looks very playful. Tell us about you. Tell us about your journey, how you came into, play and everything.
Amazing. Thank you, B. I just want to say it's so exciting to hear someone reflects back your life to you. So thank you. I really appreciate doing this in this way.
Well, I'm glad I got
And
it
I'm
right.
humbled to talk
I'm
to you.
glad I got it
Yeah, you
right.
did on the spot. And we're like, so no, and I also like, and we'll talk more about this digital intimacy, how you can feel and vibe people talking about flow before you even meet them, right? So that's something to touch. But yes, I'm here in Topanga. I grew up in Israel. I had the privilege to grow up in a family of theater makers. My mom is an actress, and my father is a theater director, and my sister is a director. So I grew up in this theater mafia, and I did a lot of experimental work because my father was like this, working in this repertoire theater, and I wanted to, break out, but still stay in theater. So I did a lot of interactive, immersive, site-specific, those type of experiences. And when I left Israel, I went to Europe to study theater, and I got to work in a restaurant with other migrants, also from the same conflict area like me, Israel, Palestine, Syria.
Yeah.
And suddenly all those enemies became friends. And through the work on theater environment and this distance from where we grew up, we managed to go to those painful places, those traumas, and create bridges and create new shared visions through these empathy experiences of playing someone else, becoming someone else, entering the role of someone else. And that was really a huge impact on my life. And I wanted to, beyond theater, find more mediums to share these insights. And that brought me to experiment with technology. And through that, I created my first technology startups already back in 2012. I had a location-based media app, was like a virtual time capsules where you can hear stories of other people who were in that place before you. So you can bridge
How cool.
narratives through the places. right? Like the walls, if the words could talk, they could tell us a lot
Yeah.
about the people who went through it.
Love that.
And later, I was really interested in this whole idea of perspective. So virtual reality came in, and I created an app with two German founders on capturing your peripheral view. And we were the first app on the App Store. We won South by Southwest. We got a lot of traction and press,
Amazing.
and we were like this telepathic SMS, because you could capture where you are, and someone could just put a Google Cardboard and immediately see, he's there. Oh, there's so many friends. Oh, okay, I want to join there. Or here is a memory of friends. And I learned a lot from that experience. We licensed the tech to other tech companies. So really, I understood the whole relationship. We raised funds and investors and startups. And I went through this whole cycle of selling the technology, and finding myself consulting more founders, and both how to pitch and get investment, but also how to work on the product and get the customer to really connect. Because one of the problems I had early on when I did those VR and other startups was really, how do I bridge this vision I have with the customer, like with the users? That's something that I realize a lot of founders are struggling with. So I started exploring what I now call display economy,
Yeah, I was about to say, is
which
that
is,
what
if
this
you
is?
want, yeah, I mean, if you want, it's like method acting your customer, like becoming your customer, entering their shoes, going through their experiences. And that's how it started. It started with really like, what's beyond talking about the customer or talking with the customer, talking as the customer, right? If I can, instead of just reading data and send surveys, in addition to that, if I can go through the living experience of my customer, if I will deploy full empathy, radical empathy towards all the stakeholders in my business, I would have a thriving business. But more than that, it would be a business that look at the customer as the hero. I call it like the hero's journey, where the
Hmm.
customer is the protagonist. And their journey is about their own well-being. So it's the product, the founder, the business are the guide in this hero's journey, and the focus here is to really promote human flourishing, to make sure people elevate themselves through the interaction with our products. So I understood with the time, as I was working with more and more companies, more founders, creating more, prototyping more concepts and products and applications and consumer packaged goods and different ventures. I always understood that it has to do with the misalignment always have to do with how much are we in tap with the customer, how much do we have our hands on the pulse of the market of where it really matters, and how much our product really enhances the human experience, the living experience of our customer. Is it really needed, or it's another tech trend? Working with so many technologies, we do things because we can. So I was more going into the why, and what is technology here in this bigger scale of the human story, right? So a lot of work around mindset, and that's where I am right now with this play economy mindset and the play economy frameworks, which I work through Wonderland to accelerate companies towards this new age where AI is taking over a lot of the mundane work that we humans maybe never needed to do. Maybe, who knows? I mean, we marginalized and make laugh on play, like play is not serious, don't play with your food, like like work, don't play around, like he's a player. Like we had negative context to that, and suddenly I think there's a shift where the work that defined us, we are not anymore necessary for it to take place, right? And there's this whole crisis of identity, and I think play is the way, in this sense. And play, and what humans are able to do through play, which is emotional intelligence, would be the main focus in the times of the artificial intelligence.
Yeah, wow. Gosh,
Yeah,
there's so much to unpack there. Like you've tapped into so many different things where I'm just like, oh, we could talk about this, we could talk about that.
Mhm.
Can we just start with the play economy framework? Like, what does that actually look
Right.
like when and you've got
So,
play and economy, and you called out something that I'm
right.
super curious and interested to ask about because the word play is quite frivolous. It's fun. How do you bring play? How does play become serious in business? Like, you and I were talking before the
Mhm.
podcast, and I've studied, flow science, and, play is an aspect of getting into flow, or novel experiences is what, helps us to get in this flow state. Yeah, I kind of am interested in and keen to understand the play, how you've put the economy, and we're not talking about dollars here as such. We're talking about a play economy, like a creator's economy, and
Right.
the
Like the experience economy, like
framework.
exactly.
But
Yes.
also, what I'm
Right.
hearing, just so I'm clear, is that the old world is not working any longer. So how do we reshape this new world so that we do get this human flourishing, businesses more sustainable, more successful. You're getting better results, but ultimately everyone is more engaged and there's less disengagement as well. So like I've thrown a lot at you, but yeah, I'd love to just explore a bit about that, please.
I
Does
I
that
love it in the
make sense?
context, and I'll yeah, yeah, completely, 100%. So first, I'll say I don't know if you can share screen here, but like I have, if you go to Amazon, the guide to the play economy is a book I wrote to try and explain all those concepts together. And honestly, I haven't been promoting it anyway because it's still like an ongoing concept for me, and I don't mind it being out there. And some people suddenly, someone told me, "Hey, ChatGPT told me to read your book." I said, "What? I've never said to anyone this book." Like, I said, "Yeah, but GPT, apparently this
Good
AI
old chat.
computer vision developer, and he just got this as a recommendation for him to read." So the guide to the play economy is like trying to look at what is play, looking at historical and philosophical discussions from the book Homo Ludens, where like these Dutch theorists talk about play as a necessary evolutionary element that humans have that enable us to put some sense in reality and create frames based on the skill that we have to simulate. And play mean a lot of things. Some people it's like just being fun and foolish and not being serious, or gaming. Like everybody think about, oh yeah, you mean gaming or sport. Play in essence it's a lot of things, but I think when I look at its core on becoming someone else, this idea of simulation, I think it encapsulates so much inside of it. And it's one of those skills that if you really look at, we have them naturally, really as kids. And it somehow um, becomes, as we go to the adult world, become less and less something we practice. It's really marginalized to those areas where we do sport and this, but there's so much opportunity to use it in other elements. So it's in its essence, play economy is like the times where role play is being celebrated in every realm of life. So in the book, I talk about how would hospitals look like with role play, and schools look like with role play, and how would governments and civil NGOs and future prototyping, protopia prototyping. How can LARPing, live action role play, be used in different segments of life, and then also in business and startup and marketing, right? Like where mostly most of the work I do right now really goes there, right? People want to see where is the money here. So, uh, but I see here a big cultural shift, and that's why I wrote this book. And for those who want to go a bit deeper into the rabbit hole, on the wonderlandimmersivedesign.com, the website, there's an interactive book I did with AI, where it's basically a book that writes itself to you, and it's personalizing itself to you. And in this case, it's easy. It will be like Bee's Guide to the Play Economy. And in the beginning, it asks you 15 questions about your future self, very influenced by Joe Dispenza and the idea of manifesting, Jim Carrey, like method acting your future self. And it takes those ideas and it writes the guide to the play economy. If in 10 years the play economy would manifest itself everywhere, how your life would look then. And it just kind of inspiration, like vision board through the book itself. Really interesting experiment. And because I believe that it has effects both from life, business, but also personal manifestation, right? The use of role play to method act your future self, to become, what you aspire, create like an actual mood board and a vision board, and then wake up, dress up, behave, think like
That
your future
person.
self.
Is that the role play piece? Like, is that what that is? Like in terms
Right. So this is what.
of
Yeah, method acting. So I say method acting. It's literally the work of relating the emotional world of the character to your own world and emotional world, and the physical living experience to your own. So if your customer works in WeWork and shops in Whole Foods, you have to go there, feel how it is, right?
I was
Like
about to say, is
go
that
through this
how?
living experience.
Yeah, okay. So that's how
Exactly.
you, as like in a business sense, if you, it's
Right.
immersing yourself in that customer and you're doing it through play
Right.
method acting. Is that right?
Right. So if you think about the founder of Uber who drove people with a car, or the founders of Airbnb who hosted their own first leasing, and through doing that, they realized, for example, that the problem is not just the space and the location, but it's actually the trust. So they figured if they bring reviews, they would have this trustworthy community. So the living experience, the intuition is something that we overlook many times, especially in this time of data. But I think the combination of data and intuition is where businesses are going to become really interesting. This idea of I go and live through the experience of my customers, but I also let the AI role play customers for me at scale. And it's a
So how
segment to
does
what I'm doing with Formhouse. Right.
I love all of this. How does my brain is being blown apart in the best possible way right now? But so then how does AI how do you bring AI into this? So like if you like yeah, how does that work? How does the AI component come into this from a method acting, understanding your
Exactly.
customer, even from an
Right.
individual sense in terms of, manifestation or going from what I call survival mode to operating in survival mode to actually what I, flourishing. Like what role does AI play? How does it connect it all or
It
connect in?
it's interesting, this very weird, I almost think biblical connection between us human beings and LLMs. I mean, in many ways we are LLMs if you think about
We're
language
going
and
deep.
what's
We're going
called
deep
in,
here. Biblical and
right.
LLMs.
Right. Because in I like this Will I am, actually I heard him saying that abracadabra, which is a word in Aramaic, means in Hebrew or Aramaic, it means I would create with my words, which means this magical abracadabra, like with my words I create a whole world, right? And that's kind of like this concept that is connecting between us and how you do prompt and prompt engineer in LLM. So there's just like this whole times for me are really interesting because I've been looking at the human psychology and how we work, and also I've been really playing around in the last 15 years with edge technologies. So for me, the combination with play and AI have been really interesting. So in the last 2 years, as I talk about role play and embodying and intuition, I'm also playing with those tools that can role play the customer to you in scale. And there's two elements here. One is synthetic users, which is if you want a digital twin, a copy of a human being
Yeah.
as an LLM that you can agent even interact with. And what's interesting about those that with the years, they've become more and more accurate. So now I'm working with some software companies that have those virtual focus groups that you can
Yeah,
ask anything about your brand positioning, your
which is fascinating.
messaging, your social media strategy, about, and they would answer sometimes with up to 85% accuracy. So that means that businesses can really take their data and train their own synthetic users and basically ask them anything before they go and execute. And that saves a lot of money, not only on the actual focus groups, but it saves the money on a lot of speculations we have. You can create synthetic users of your customers, you can create synthetic users of the legal teams that might sue you, or like whatever ecosystem you're living, you can create all the customers, all the stakeholders. And the second element is simulation, role play simulation. There is specifically, there's a huge B here. It's crazy. It's well, you're in nature.
You need bees in the
B and B.
world. You need bees in the
The
world.
bees in the world. I was like, whoa, what is this going?
I just come
Um,
through the screen and I've come out in a little bee.
how did you come from? Wow. So yeah, the second one, role playing, by the way, is possible even more now with conversational AI. You can already talk with ChatGPT in such a way we couldn't talk with Siri before, and that is already some type of role play, right? You can just create a persona of your customer as a GPT, train on all the reviews
Yeah.
you get, and it will respond to you already as one customer persona. And you can use other applications that also 11 Labs and Hume have this ability to have very nuanced voices with tonality and empathy in the voice. So what teams are doing right now, they are training the emotional intelligence of the customer relationships, the sales, with those conversational agents. They are creating scenarios that you can train. You can train how you pitch and sell. You can train how you respond to a customer service conversation. And it doesn't only give you feedback on what you say, but also how you say it, your tonality, your voice, your empathy. So again, I say this artificial intelligence help grow emotional intelligence because it's actually not only an acting partner, it's also a coach. So we can both create personas and ask them questions, but we can also have situational improvisation with them, and we could get scored. We can get, a gamifying element with the team. Who knows the customer better? I think it even unifies the ethos of a company now around the really real important reason why the company exists, the customer. Everybody role play the customers. They do cosplay competitions around the customer, right? They try to get a deeper understanding of why are we doing what we're doing every
Yes.
day. We're
Fascinating.
trying to help this
Yeah.
person.
So how do you like do you get much like, like what you're talking about here is fascinating in
Ooh.
terms of using play in the form of, the framework you're using, the play economy. Do you get much resistance from businesses or people when it comes to because it is the term play is quite like we were talking about before isn't necessarily always taken so seriously, and yet what you're talking about here is that you're improving businesses, you're getting better commercial outcomes, you're understanding the customer intimately, you're putting data and intuition together to get better results. Do you find any barriers toward when you talk about play method acting and applying that to business? Like, or is it that you're
Oh
working?
yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. That was very interesting. So I started playing around with those concepts as soon as I moved out of theater. I obviously didn't call them like that, but play economy for me is exactly this convergence, and it's exactly the zeitgeist where this convergence is going to happen right now. But for maybe 2025, I would say from 2010, I've been exploring elements in technology. 2012, I remember I went to a tech conference in Berlin, and I still worked in theater, and I actually had a lot of success in the theater. In the times when I transitioned to startup, I won a prize, a European prize for my performance. But when I came to a tech conference, everybody I felt that was my self-image, and I also got that a bit from the attitude of the VCs, especially in Europe. well, who are you? What are you playing around? Again, we have a
Yeah.
lot of resistance. And that was the first time. But then, I raised money and from the States, so people were like, ah, yeah, we take you seriously. Then I moved into, there's different levels in a startup life, and there's always like the boss level. And when I moved to the States, and I did a lot of work with during the pandemic, especially, I was working with a collective. We were doing like the virtual Burning Man experience. Was doing some, design around how do you bring people remotely to feel. I mean, we are in the office to be social, not just to get things done. we
No.
we understood in COVID some things are done from home even better, but the idea of workplace is this social playground. And then it became even more clear during the pandemic. So I was doing a lot of play work kind of for teams, but it was still hard to sell it. So it was very exciting for the teams when they did it, but to come and use the word play in the learning and development or anything like this, you know, it's like it was like, yeah, we tried all this fooling around, is not enough. But when you talk about role play, there's also even more barriers, because when people think about LARPing or anything, they think about people as dressed up as knights, medieval knights hitting each other, which is true. Some LARPing are like this. If you go to the Nordic countries, they just enter a black box space with no clothes, no like costumes, just normal clothes, and they interact as a character for 2 4 hours in a it's very situational, psychological type of role play. And if you take those into a work environment, so you understand that already empathy mapping and the user flow that you have in design thinking, the ideas concept, it's already a step into some type of entering the mind. So it's like a light barrier of play. So yeah, play throughout history, and especially medieval times, industrial revolution, and even in our information age, have been marginalized to a very specific space. And the reason why I talk about this play economy mindset as a new zeitgeist we can give birth together to collectively, it's because the technologies that emerge, it's a convergence now point of things that in the past we would never do, but now they're so intuitive. I mean, there's always those jumps, right? Like that we see with technology, and we say, we would never do something like that. And suddenly we see a jump. So the fact that we talk with AIs, a few years ago, chatbots were annoyance, but now we see people mm, creating quite deep relationship with their ChatGPT account. And we want, especially as adults, we want to go back to this space of play and simulation. So I just
It's
think
bringing
that
out that
it's
inner
there.
child, isn't it? It's bringing out the inner child.
Yeah.
And that's where the creativity and the innovation comes out for me in terms of because for so long, as adults, like you talked about, we almost shut off that childlike behavior because it's serious. We're in business, we're doing this, we're doing that. We've got to be an adult now. Like, we've got families or bills to pay or things to do, and you almost go like, I've just got to fit the status quo, and you kind of almost lose sight of actually when I tap into this mindset, this way of being, there's more answers that come to me, and it actually enables us to solve bigger problems better, if that makes sense as well. Like it feels like you're like saying we need to bring that back because we're conditioned from a very young
Uh-huh.
age that you're allowed to play up until this point, and then all of a sudden it's like now it's time to no, you've got to do it this way. And what you're saying is no, if we bring in this play economy, it opens up so much. It's like it's a wonderland. It's like your backdrop. I keep looking at that going, I just want to run through there and play. I want to go and explore, find different ways to solve things.
And just regarding your previous question of how was it throughout the years, it's been very difficult. But recently, because of the AI development, people come and ask me about those technologies, and especially right now. there's a very big interest in the whole simulation space because that's where people are saving money. And again, that's really what will change the economy because play is becoming a serious business. And again, I'm not talking about gaming. I'm not only talking about gaming or gamification. I'm talking about this concept of embodying someone else. I'm talking about role playing and simulating situations that are not real like they are real. And from that, if it's through synthetic users answering you as 1,000 customers that you just want to know if they want to buy your new product, or if it's through generative media creating you various campaigns and options of how you can go and market this product. That's the idea. What I'm doing now with Formhouse, I came together with people who have been in the consumer packaged good for 30 years, right? Thrive Market, early employee, have been doing a lot of wellness and food products and looking at how could brands now use this idea of synthetic users and generative media to really grow and develop things they have not been doing before. And big part of it is our human and AI combination, this
Yeah, bringing
intuition
it
and
together.
play, bring it together. Like we do workshop, we do 1 day workshop where we simulate different video generation and workflows for marketing with the marketing team. It's never like just, okay, do some role play inside your organization. And, yeah, what I tried before to bring this team building aspect, I see it as an aspect of it's the core of your company. You should bring it to your product, your marketing, your design team. It's not an HR enhancement for
Well, that's
a
what I,
1 day
yeah.
retreat
So
where we fool around.
it's amazing that you're bringing this up because that's kind of what I've always just, and
Yeah,
it's kind of that's kind of what I thought it was. But you're talking about it completely differently in terms of when
right,
you're creating the play economy, right? And it's a
right, right,
very different form that
yes,
you're creating. Oh,
right.
you're catapulting play into completely, an economy that isn't just
Right.
doesn't just reside in HR. It's basically intrinsically through the business.
We've just recently, I we started a very big, and this is all very recent. We started a big contract with a company who's very big in the food space, and they've been exploring a concept. And we realized from synthesizing it with the audiences that there was something that they overlooked, something quite obvious, but it was a blind spot. Now we were sure that they know about it. We brought it up, but it was like suddenly their eyes went like, "Whoa!" And we also gave it to them with AI podcast, so they can hear people talking about the problem. So again, how do you? Is it just reports that you serve, or can you make it more of a human experience where you're interacting more intuitively with the technology? You're not just typing in the screen. You're talking and walking and like having a conversation with your research agent, and it's more intuitive, right? it's
Yeah.
it's not those tabs again that we have to chase, but it's spatial, it's in our space. That's where everything is heading. And I think people understand it now because the last year with AI, there was a lot of buzz in technology with VR and AR and Web3, and those things would come. They are just those technologies take much more time. AI have been there for years. I've been doing synthetic training for 3D humans in 2018. We've been exploring that later in 2022, procedural art in the 3D space. Now this in the last year it's exploded because of ChatGPT and all the other LLMs that became part of our life. It's so obvious. I mean, we never were meant to do this type of work. We know it's not intuitive for us. It's against our flow.
Yeah. I wanted to talk to you about flow quickly in terms of do you
Yeah.
think does the play economy like it obviously gives us a lot of access to flow and what I mean by that is being able to, well, I call it shine our brightest and feel and perform at our best. Like in terms of flow state and play, like what's your view on that in terms of does does the play economy give us more access to be able to be living and working in the ability to be in more of a flow state.
I think it starts with our personal living experience, right? Like, are we in a flow state? How do we enter that at all? So those the first question I ask is just, you
Mm,
know, choose someone and
mm.
become them just for a moment. And just to want to give you an example, B, do you have something in your house that is not working? Something broken, something that you need to fix, something that is just lying around there, that you said, I'll look at it later, but it's still there.
Yeah, I've got something that I look at every day and go, I need to get it. I need to get a new one, but I just keep putting it off. And
Great,
do you know
great.
what
Can
it
we do a little
is? Can I tell you
experiment?
what it
Just a
is?
little experiment. Yeah, yeah. But I tell you, through this little experiment, okay?
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask you some questions, okay?
Yeah, go
And
for
you're
it.
just gonna answer as this object,
I
okay? Just
love it. You're
simply, we'll
asking
put
me
you in there. So,
questions.
okay, great. Yeah, yeah, perfect. So I want to know, since when do you know B?
Since when did I know it was broken?
No. If you answer as this broken object to me right now, and I talk to you as this broken object, and ask you, when did you meet B? So you would say
Oh,
20.
oh gosh. I think 5 years ago.
2020, like you remember the first time you met?
Yes, I think I do.
You you remember her face when she saw you? What was she doing when she saw you the first time?
I was really annoyed
She was annoyed. Why?
because I'm the broken one, aren't I? Like we're role playing right now. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I wasn't working the way I was meant to be working.
Ah, she got you and you were not working? Oh wow. Where were you manufactured? Uh,
Europe.
you're from Europe? And when so
It's
you were
just
broken from the
hilarious.
first day.
Pardon?
It's hilarious, yeah,
Pardon?
yeah. No, I mean it's hilarious. It's fun. I just like the reason I wanted to
No,
go
I
there.
said
I
I love
used to do
this.
that.
This is so fun.
I li- I used to do that first during the pandemic in those rooms. Later, I had this club with Kal Kaminski. It's like a social club, social play club we did on Clubhouse. And the idea was really strangers come in and they don't even, need to do any chit chat. They immediately jump into a state of play and they role play as you just did. So role playing doesn't mean, oh, to be or not to be. No, it's like, I need to answer as that. That's it. And that takes you slowly to this flow state because it starts to connect things you
Yeah,
haven't been connecting in your mind. When was the last time you answered as what were you before?
I
I
was a
didn't ask you.
broken dryer.
When was the last time you were a broken dryer in your
I've
life?
never been a broken dryer, but I got to get it fixed, right? Like
Oh,
you've actually you've just
right.
highlighted the need to fix that too. But it's
Oh my God.
what about improvisation? Because I mentioned to you earlier, and I know we could keep talking for ages, but improv, right? Like, what role does that
Right.
play in the play economy in terms of, I did an improv course a few years ago, and it was when I was coming out of burnout. And to be honest, it was to build my confidence up and put myself into an environment that was so effing uncomfortable for me.
Right.
And
Right.
I went to this thing going, I don't know what I'm doing, and here I am, and I've taken myself to the theater, and I'm going to do some improv. And then I met all these incredible people around me that were all coming from some were coming from a business aspect. I was coming from just needed to kind of put myself out there into a really uncomfortable space and place. What role
Yeah.
does improvisation play in the play economy, in terms of what you've been talking about this whole conversation today?
Yeah. No, role play is perfect. It's the lightest, simplest form of LARPing, right? You don't have a long-term commitment to a character. You can come in and out. It's this mindset. It has a bit of an element also of everything goes fooling around. It's fun, right? So it's this type of light-hearted play if you want. You could also have a dark improv, but usually you would have that as part of like a light, funny, whose line is it anyway type of improv, right? And the whole idea of improv is based on yes and. There's
Yeah.
never no. There's not a
No.
like right.
Ooh, I lost him. He's just gone for a second. He'll be back. He's dropped out.
my my phone died.
That's okay.
It
I just
overheated.
paused. We're back again. We were
Yeah,
just
I'm back on a
yeah, we're
different
back.
camera
There's
though.
nothing like well, we're just improv, right? There wasn't like
Yeah,
it
we're just
wasn't like, oh no,
improvising.
he's gone, I'm gonna shut it down. It was like, yes, and I'm
No,
gonna
no.
wait, but I had a big and, so that's okay.
Um, yeah, no, just for the yes and the idea of collaboration. For me, the principles of the play economy, if it's more than just a mindset and an actual framework we follow, if we look at it to like a collective, like if it will become a time, I don't like the word era, it's too big, like experience economy or something, it's too theoretical for me. I
Yep.
want it to be a collective mindset, but in its essence, it's participatory, it's collaborative, right? Where the creators economy is going into is that anyone is now having the tools to be creative with AI, right? In the sense that you both explore your own creativity and your own emotional intelligence and your role play, but also you can, as an outcome, get any drawing, painting, right? You could be very creative and create content. So we are entering creators economy that is really built on this idea of co-creation, collaboration, this yes and culture, this collective flow state is a big thing for it. I have
Yes.
a very good
Yes,
example.
I love that.
I'm part,
Collective
I'm part,
flow state.
I'm part of this community called Machine Cinema. We do
Yeah.
a jam. It's called Generation Jam, Gen Jam, and we meet 100 people and for 3 hours make movies. And the whole idea that we make suddenly AI cinema, which is usually a really boring, dry. I take a text, I make it image, I put it in. It's like alone. It's not a creative process, but we suddenly make it feel like a film set because we place a group of people who don't know each other suddenly in a group and they have to improvise and they have to come up with a story and they have to make a video in 3 hours. So suddenly the idea of being creative with AI and being able to collaborate more with AI, right? AI can see things we don't see, and it can piece those puzzle pieces together. It's very good in being a concierge, but also as a connector. That this app called
Yeah.
Boardit connects people
I
with AI.
I need to
It's a great way to connect.
yeah, I need to connect you with Min Do. Do you know him?
Yes, he's the founder of Machine Cinema, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So
I've had him on the
me and
pod.
Fred,
How funny.
exactly.
Yeah, how funny. Yeah, he
Right.
said he's going to get to Melbourne one day and bring it over here. And I think you guys should bring it to us.
Yeah, we should. I'm volunteering. And I see it as a collective community that would
Yeah,
grow because it's really built on this idea of social play to be creative. And it's really, for me, the ethos of the play economy. This is a form. The play economy for me would be a mindset that goes between more and more people to say, hey, why don't we use that when we engage with creative work, when we create with business work, when we create with education? Why don't we look at this mindset? And that's my wishful thinking. And also because I grew up in Israel, I think we've been living in times, we are living in the fear economy. We are living in the fear economy. So to move out from the fear economy to the play economy, we have to understand that if we take play simulation seriously, we could shift from this really adolescent times for civilization to a renaissance where we have shared visions that we collectively play, test out, and then execute on. We could use this concept of um, role play collectively in communities to simulate scenarios and understand, have more agency for our future. Like we're currently kind of future illiterate, so we can use these type of simulations to empower us as communities to play together.
Yeah, future illiterate. Yeah, we are kind of, aren't we? I'm conscious of we've been talking for a bit, and I'm gonna let you get
Yeah, we're
your
jamming. It's been
evening.
fun.
Yeah, we've been jamming a lot. What would be what would be one piece of advice? What would be a word of like words of wisdom, a piece of advice you'd give anybody who is not as yet tapping into this whole mindset we've been talking about, or the play economy? Like how would you, or like a business, what would be your advice to a business that's looking to explore this more but not sure how to?
Right. So mindset, uh, I mean, for me, it's like just to go and explore. If you read my book or other people who talk about play and understand how you can change your mindset, with the actual framework, I would suggest to look at your business as an empty canvas and to cast your protagonist, could be your customer, your investor, to put them like a suspect on a suspect board and to investigate building their character. Where do they go to eat? Where do they sleep? How do they, like how do they live their living experience, and then go and do that, actually go to those places, live through those experiences. And finally, when you want to use AI, you can use apps like ChatGPT or other more sophisticated apps, which you can always approach me and I'll be happy to guide you through,
Yeah,
where you can simulate the scenarios with yourself and like see how you, both for your own life but also for your business, can simulate the most important conversation before they happen.
amazing, amazing. And so I'm going to promote your book, but how else can we find out more about you, Michael, and what you're doing and carving the
Yeah.
reshaping the future?
So yeah, reach out. I'm Ronen Michael on Instagram and Twitter. I'm Michael Ronen on LinkedIn and Wonderland Immersive Design. You can connect with me directly there. And if you're a brand looking for working with Foam House, you can just connect at michael@foamhouse.com dot studio, and we can connect and take it from there.
I love it. I love it. Oh my gosh, what a fascinating conversation. And we even got to role play as well. I really enjoyed we definitely jammed,
Right.
we definitely flowed. Thank you so much. And yeah, I really appreciate your time. And again, that beautiful backdrop, it's exceptional. Now the sun is fully glistening on you.
Now we'll leave and just leave you with the background. Thank you, V. Thank you so
No,
much.
thank you. Have a wonderful evening and take care. Thank you.
Be